Hello, you crafty people. All right, I have the journal out today, and I'm thinking it's time that we go ahead and put our signatures in, or at least be prepared to put them in. So today we're going to need some eyelets. Going to need an eyelet putter-oner, installer. You're going to want some elastic. Now this is round cord elastic, which I think probably works great. You can get the flat, you can get the round, whatever floats your boat, whatever you like the best. And then, of course, our signatures. But these two signatures that were the second set that I put together that's just copy paper. And then I just used some sprays and some inks and things like that in there. I took a 1/4 inch off the top and the bottom. So they are now 8 inches in height, which is going to be perfect, I believe. Might have to cut off a little bit more, but no, I think we'll be good, because I did not want to have the eyelets all the way down to the bottom. I wanted to leave a little excess so it wasn't cutting into the bottom edge of the book. Because remember, these I'm going to run the elastic through so that these can be removable, and hence the reason why we'd already done the little pamphlet stitch on them. And I am going to add a little something onto the strings on the inside, so you've got, I always use them as bookmarks. I think they are quite handy to have. Okay, so let's do, I don't know if it's a little bit of math, but let's get a ruler out. And of course I don't have my ruler that you can really see very well. That is off and running somewhere. Yet again. Okay, so of course it's kind of hard to see on black anyway. Now remember, our spine was 2 1/4. All right, so we are going to want to, let's see, so 2 1/4, halfway is 1 1/8, okay? I don't know that I need to make a mark there, but that is my center of all of this. So let me go ahead, just so I have it, I'm going to make a mark right here, as that's my center. I don't know if you can see it, but it's just a pencil mark, just a line, denoting that is the center of the signature. 1 1/8. And everything else is going to be a dot, so this line ought to, stand out for us. Now we're going to have 4 items. So you don't really need a center point right off the bat for 4 items. You're going to just use that as kind of, a guide. So you're going to want to have 1 on each side. So let's see. We have, I want, if I come in 1/4 inch on both the front, oh, now this definitely, let me see how much this comes. I'm going to go ahead and draw myself a line right where this comes. So in actuality, our center just changed, didn't it? Let me get another eraser, because I have my eraser out in the living room. I've got so many projects going on right now, it's not even funny. So our center, because I can't put anything where this sits, because this needs its own space. Okay, so I am going to come off of that line about 1/8 of an inch and see where we end up. Okay, so I am at 1 3/4. And so let's see. We have quarter. I can't do the math right now. Okay, so it's about 5/8. No, 7/8. So sorry. It's about 7/8 is our center line. So I am going to, let me bring it down here a little bit more. All right. Yeah, so 7/8 is our center line. So I'm making the spine 1 3/4. I could make it 1 7/8. I think that would still be reasonable. Yeah, why don't we do that? 1 7/8, because 2... No, let's do 2. 2 is going to be good. So obviously then, our center is at 1 inch. So that's super easy. That's super easy. So from the front, put your 2-inch mark on the front part of the spine. And make sure that you can close your book. If you have to maneuver it a little bit, make sure you can close your book with that there. And I can. And so I'm going to make my mark at the 1, because that's my halfway point. So I need to erase my old one. There we go. All right, so now I need to separate out in 2 inches 4 books. So I could put them, let's see. I could put them at 1/4 and then skip a half and skip a half. So I'll put 1 at 1/4 inside. So let's go ahead and put this where we're going to want it to be. Okay. I'm going to make sure that the measurements I'm using are going to work for me. So I'm going to go over 1/4 from the line that this fills. So I'm coming over 1/4 and I'm coming over 1/4 this way as well. So there's that. And then I'm going to come over 1/2 inch. And that leaves me 1/2 inch in between those two. And that leaves me 1/2 inch in between the outside two. And that gives me 1/4 inch for them to lay and fill. Okay? So there's the line where this comes to. I went over 1/4 and 1/4. There's my center line. And then from this point I went over 1/2 inch, and from this point I went over 1/2 inch. So now I have 1/2 inch in between my pieces and 1/4 inch on the outside. So that ought to give us plenty of room to do our thing, right? So we're going to make sure again, and I'm going to do 1/4, and then, so from this direction out, you're going to do 1/4 and 3/4, and then you're going to do 1 inch and 1/4, and 1 inch and 3/4. So that's basically, and then you have your 2 is at the, excuse me, the spine. Okay. So, excuse me, I'm going to move these up just a smidge. So that I can, oops, they're easier to Okay. Excuse me. All right, so now we know where we're putting them. And the first thing that I'm going to want to do is, before everything else gets in the way, I'm going to put my holes in. Now, I originally had thought that I would put little, big, or big, little. But now I'm thinking, because I'm thinking where I'm going to have my eyelets and how it's going to look on the outside. All right. So I can either have two that are really close together, two that are very far apart, or they're going to be offset from center. I don't like the idea of offset from center, and let me show you what that means. Here, I have some flat back pearls right here, just to give you the idea of what I'm talking about. So I can either have two really close, too far away, or we can do like that, or like that. I don't care for that at all. So I think I'm probably going to do the two outside, because I really don't like the two really close together. But I also don't like the idea of one of these being the first thing that you see. So I think maybe the two close together is what I'm going to end up having to do. And then the outside ones will be sewn. I think that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. So you will end up with elastic like this. And I think that's doable. That will put both the small ones in the center and then both the large ones on the outside. So the beginning and the end of the book will have the outside. So I think that's our best choice. You, by all means, can do it to the outside if you like, because you might not, you know, to me these are not near as pretty. They're decorative, but they're not, you know, not like these guys are with some hand coloring and some, you know, some more time spent on these, where this is just got to fill some more space. I don't dislike these, but they're not that first page kind of thing when you're, you know, when you open up the book. And they are smaller because when I put the holes in, they are going to require some space from the edges to not mess around with the outside integrity of the book. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Now this is, does it tell me how wide it is? It does not, but it's maybe 1/8 of an inch in diameter. So it's small. So I could use the smaller, the 1/8 inch openings, and I think that's going to make me much happier. So we're going to set this up. Let me see, do I have this set up? I gotta set it up for the small one. Okay, and I am going to do a video here before too long about working these. Okay, so let's see. I gotta get in the right light so I can see where my pencil marks are. Oh, and where this puppy comes out. Where is my pencil mark? Right there. Huh. I wish I could see my pencil mark. Okay. There's one. Let's see. But once it gets underneath there, you just cannot see. Okay, there we go. Let's pick what we're going to use. Now you're going to see this on the outside, so you have to imagine you've got your box and you've got this. What color are we going to be interested in seeing on the outside? And before I actually put these in, I'm going to have to probably work the book, but let me go ahead and pop the holes, and then I guess I'm going to have to do the cover so the signature's in then, because I'm using some black, it's just black, and this is pre-sticky bookbinding linen. Okay, so that is what I'm using on both books. It does not mean that you can't put something on them. I probably am not, but I am going to, when that doesn't really look like I centered that very well. But come to think of it, it's not centered, because our 1/2 inch. So I could actually do the inside one and the outside one, and it would look centered. Way better than that. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I am going to do the middle and the back last one. And then it will look centered in the book. It will have them the way I want them. I knew I had this figured out, and then all of a sudden it was like, well, that's not going to look good. Yes, it is. I just didn't remember that that's how I had it going. That's how I had it going. Okay, so I am going to place the hole on this last one. Okay. Much better. So now, whoops, I have a hole here and here, and that looks much more centered than here and here. Yeah. Okay. And that's going to give me a signature, you know, one of these nice signatures, and then one of these, and then the signature, and then one of these short ones again in the back. Perfect. Okay, so that's the way I'm going to do it. Looks like I went just a little too low. So I am going to bring this into play, although it does not come any further up, so that is not going to be helpful. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to just bring this one down just a smidge. There we go. There we go. Now it is right. Right as rain. And the fortunately I didn't have to move it much, and the bit of the rings on these will cover that. It won't show. Plus, remember, we're going to have the black linen on here, so it won't show at all. Not at all. Not at all. Okay, so I guess what I need to do now is give it a cover. So let me get these other holes punched and move everything kind of out of the way, and I'll be back in a second.